to continue like this, unable to accept such a woe in life, were allowed to go home and marry a suitable wife. So although we know that if you calculate the numbers, there will be always more of those who go back home to find a suitable wife. Still, Srila Prabhupada frames it here in such a way that actually the real goal is to remain celibate, remain brahmachari. Yeah? Thus, the basic education was designed to encourage the student in becoming free from family encumbrances. So that was the teachings or the school. It was designed in such a way that would be that the brahmacharis will be very much inspired to remain brahmacharis, because it is very important, because to have celibate students and preachers in society is of very great importance for the society. And without this stressing, nobody will remain like that. Just few. And we know from our tradition and from Srimad-Bhagavatam that some of our predecessor acharyas preached so much about celibacy that it created some disturbances in the universe. When Daksha wanted to, populate the universe, which was his service, it was given to him by Brahma. He was supposed to populate the universe. So therefore he had many sons. And always Narada came and just spoiled them, with his preaching. So, and then another batch of sons. And then again Narada came and again spoiled them. And we also see in the story of Priyavratam, is it Priyavrata? That he was supposed to become a king or a leader, so that means he needs a wife, but he was a disciple of Narada Muni and he didn't want to do it. He was completely like, no, I'm not going to listen to any one of you. And then finally Brahma had to come, and who was there? Shiva or Manu? And Narada, and they had to speak also, preach to Narada that, okay, it's very nice, but also we have to manage the universe. So, so let us do it in this case like this. We will be okay. Don't worry. But the general preaching of Narada Muni is to support this extreme vow of celibacy. It's considered very extreme, especially for some classes of men. We know Bhishma is known as Bhishma, because he accepted this extreme, horrible vow that he will not accept any wife. This is like, for Kshatriya it's very difficult. Therefore, usually those who stayed traditionally in celibacy for the whole life were usually Brahmanas. They were qualified for that. So, although we need to hear, at least young men need to hear this kind of preaching, but for all of us, because finally, as Srila Prabhupada explains, that in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, because there is also Krishna describes the rules for performing yoga practice, Ashtanga yoga. And one of the principles is strict celibacy. You cannot do this without following this. I remember once we have been on traveling Sankirtan, and on a Saturday we went for a little walk. We just climbed a hill in the nature and went down to our van. And on the way we met some couple. Man, he was in his 60s, and lady was considerably younger, maybe 20 or 30 years younger. And we offered them books, and it came out that the man, he is a teacher of yoga. And he's teaching yoga, and he was very much into it, and he knew about Bhagavad Gita, and he read Bhagavad Gita. And I tried to convince him to take some other books and maybe to take the process more seriously. And he was that kind of new age Mayavada type of yogi. and that means everything is nice, nothing, we don't need to follow anything, just follow your heart, this kind of stuff. And but he followed some principles he followed, and I told him, but what about this? And that lady in between, she left because they met there. I don't know if secretly or not secretly, but they came with different cars, so she left. And I said, what about that lady? You are supposed, if you want to go do your real yoga according to Bhagavad Gita, as you are saying, you shouldn't be like this, dating with that lady. Or it is not anywhere written. It's not anywhere written there. So I found a verse, 6 something it was. It just happened that I read it just a few days ago, so I exactly know where it is. And I showed him, brahmacarya, and the translation of, okay. So, and he was a little sincere and said, okay, so this, I guess this will be a problem. This will be a problem for me, I cannot follow this. To be celibate. And Srila Prabhupada explains there that generally for all kinds of yogas, you have to be in celibacy, strict celibacy, before you start basically practicing. Usually women even did not practice yoga, it just was very, very, very rare. So that was for those who really wanted to renounce. And then Srila Prabhupada says that Bhakti Yoga allows, this is the only system of yoga which allows the practitioner to have wife and family life. But he says also because he remains a Grihastha Brahmachari. This is a term which we use, Grihastha Brahmachari. That means although he has a wife, he is practically living in celibacy, because he just begets children and that's it. Otherwise, he follows the same rules as Brahmachari. So all of us, we need to hear this, because this is the strongest attachment which we have in this world, is the lust, and the attachment between two genders. It's extremely strong, and it's very, very difficult to overcome. Therefore, it is usually recommended to marry, but still we need to hear, it is how useless it is to get married, how difficult it will be. It's just a dark well which is completely dried up, and it looks, when you go on the field, it looks there is some nice grass, everything is fresh, but then you go there, you fell down, there is no water, nothing, zero. So in the beginning, it looks like it will be so juicy, it will be so nice, it will be so beautiful, it will be just my wife will be completely different from any other wives, because she's so special, so rare, and everything will be so sweet. And once you enter, nothing, just dry, and then you remember, oh, these were nice days when I was a brahmachari, such a freedom, such a nice life, but now I am in this dark well. So this is how Maya works. Of course, we can balance it if we like. Srila Prabhupada does not balance it much here in this purport. So sometimes when we speak about certain topics, sometimes the balance is given and sometimes it is not. It is stressed, just, women are like foxes or snakes and this and that, and just, be careful, stay away, and that's it. And you can just to stress the point to be stressed. And sometimes it's being balanced, that okay, as devotees, it does not have to be like that. It can be also nice, because if you together serve Krishna and wife is assisting the husband in the service to the Lord and for the mission, then it can be also very nice. And there are also passages in parts of Srimad-Bhagavatam where woman is described in very good terms, like it helps, it's a dharma patni, it helps to keep up the dharma of the man and of the family. And if she is very chaste and faithful and humble like that, so both things are there. But generally speaking, Srila Prabhupada also once said that all brahmacharis should remain celibate and all ladies should get married. And when devotees asking Srila Prabhupada how you know, how to do it, you know. If they have to be married, and so how can brahmacharis? This is your management. So that you think about. This is the principle. So yeah. So it is important for a young student to regularly hear how the family life is problematic and can be a trap for a soul and for our development in Krishna consciousness, and how glorious is to follow this vow of celibacy, how much strength we can get from that, how much time then we can use for really helping others to come to Krishna consciousness. There's so many benefits. So we need to hear this again and again and again, and therefore, brahmacharis are regularly contemplating on this. It's not that they should only be thinking how this combination of man and woman is disgusting, because if you just only think about it, then you will just, it's horrible. I will spit, and whenever I see any lady, I will spit. As who said that? Yamunacharya. Yeah. So, but that was also, I heard that some devotees took it a little wrongly. That when they saw Mataji, they spit. Mataji, blah. Boy, you are Maya. You are my problem. You are. But if you read carefully, Yamunacharya did not spit at or in front of ladies. He spit. He was spitting because of the thought to enjoy that woman. So that was the problem, his thought, not that woman. That woman is not the problem. She is also a soul. She also wants to serve Krishna. If she is a devotee, if she is not, anyway, it's a devotee of Krishna in final sense. But the problem is how we perceive the world, for our enjoyment. So we spit at our thought of trying to enjoy the other sex, but not, it's not their fault, I would say. Usually, I mean, it could be also. So to be a brahmachari is very, very glorious, and it gives one strength. It's an austerity. It's one of the austerities described in Bhagavad Gita. It's an austerity. And to follow such an austerities, it's also it gives one power and freshness and health and energy and focus of the mind. All these things are included. These boys who are growing up in general schools where they just have to mix with opposite sex, and there is no regulation of it. They become very mentally weak. They cannot really focus, they cannot concentrate, they cannot go through austerities, they cannot really sacrifice themselves. It's very, very difficult for them. So even if you want to study material things, it's very smart to divide, men here, women here, because then the young boys can focus more easily, because if there are young girls, the mind of a boy will be always disturbed by that, because it's just naturally attracting like magnet. Nobody has to be taught that at the age of 14 you are taught by your parents or friends, actually this is a girl, it looks a little different than boy, and you should feel some attraction. It does not have to be like that. There is even the story of, what was his name? This Rishyashringa. You have heard about it? Yeah, some of you. So his father was living alone without a wife. He was, my mother, she died or something, and he was a Brahman. He was living in the forest, and he was raising his boy, and he wanted him to be a very strict and renounced brahmachari. So he raised him in such a way that the boy had no idea that there is something like a woman. He didn't know that women exist. He was just with his father, and only maybe he saw some sages like that, but no ladies. He didn't know that any lady is existing, or that such a species exists. So in this way he tried to protect him, and so that his propensity to become attracted to opposite sex will not start. So they were living like that peacefully and doing yagyas and meditation and studying Vedas and everything. And then, I don't remember exactly, but I think there was some king and there was some drought, no rain. And he was advised, if this person is brought into the kingdom, because he is very austere brahmachari, and it's very auspicious and like that, then it will be changed. So they created a plan and they sent some nice young girls to play close by in the forest. And this Rishi Shringa, when he was probably collecting wood or something, met them. And he was attracted to these very beautiful boys. He was very much attracted. So, yeah, and he started to play with them. And he felt some strange feeling here, which he never felt before. And he was so much attracted to those boys. And then they had to go home, and he had to go home. It was very, very difficult for him. And when he came home, his father could immediately see, oh, no, it happened. So he couldn't protect, even he never saw a woman before. It just naturally came out, and he couldn't resist the temptation to go again and meet them again, because he just couldn't be without that feeling anymore. So he came to the kingdom, he married one of those, and then some rains came. So, yeah, it's very, very natural. And we pray to Lord in the way that we would like to be attracted to Him so naturally as we are usually, as a young boy is attracted to a young girl. In this way we want to be attracted to the Lord, that it is so natural. So unfortunately for us, sadhakas, it is not that natural. We are naturally in Maya. That's very, 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 very easy for us to think about nonsense. But to think about Krishna, we need to force ourselves, and we need some rules and regulations and like that. But anyway, even in this way, it will bring benefit, it will bring happiness, it will bring satisfaction. Yeah, and from tapasya, from austerity, satisfaction is actually manifested. Tapo divyam putrakayana sattvam shuddhyet yasmat brahma saukhyam tvanantam. It is explained in Bhagavatam. Rishabhadev teaches his sons that this human form of life is not meant for enjoying like pigs, hogs and like that, but it's actually meant from tapodivyam, for a divine tapasya, divine austerity, which is very sublime, and which actually finally brings you to Brahma Saukhyam. That means transcendental happiness. So we've been speaking the other day that the sense gratification is dukkha. It gives birth to suffering, and this tapasya actually gives birth to happiness. So this is the secret. When we are doing tapasya and renouncing in a way that we remain celibate, then Brahma Saukhyam will come. And one thing which brahmachari has to learn is to find taste in austerity. Because austerity looks, if we just from a shallow point of view, or if you don't understand it deeply, it looks like a difficulty, obstruction, complication. Oh, again, austerity, no warm water, difficult. But even karmis do it. When we can find in this suffering, a little bit of suffering, it's not masochism, it's tapasya, it's voluntary suffering for a higher cause. There is some taste in it. So when you start to do it, you feel good. Again, cold shower this morning, and again I'm doing it regularly, and we become also a little more strong, a little more healthy, and the mind is more fixed up. But if you come, wake up in the morning, or 1 hour later, after your alarm was ringing, and you go into the shower and you put full hot water, and for 10 minutes full hot water, and then you go again sleep. It's just completely like you are just completely like cooked cauliflower. It's just like a mushroom, just completely. Sometimes when bhaktas are spaced out, they're like a mushroom. Please do it. Yes. Are you there? Yes. But when you are there, little fixed up, then everything is, you are sharp, you are okay, your consciousness is there, you are purified, your subtle body is purified, and like that, and you find a taste in it. And also when you do some other kind of austerity, you find a taste. You will feel, little proud on yourself, but you find some special ingredient there, which will inspire you to do it again and again and again. So it is like that designed. So this we have to find, and we have to develop this art of finding taste in performing tapasya. And we also can see if we are just lazy whole day, just doing whatever our mind tells us, at the end of the day we don't feel satisfaction, isn't it? We just feel very dull and just but lazy people, they don't feel any satisfaction, but they don't have any power to do something with that because it's too much work. But but usually we don't feel happy after that. So for example, if brahmachari gets a day off from his services, he should plan his day also, and every devotee, every person, plan his day so he uses that day off effectively. So when there is a day off, we can plan, we need to maybe take some rest extra. Okay, so we plan this time I will use for maybe 1 hour extra rest. Then I need to chant some extra rounds, so I will go for japa wall for 1-2 hours, and then I will read, and make some plan, and that we follow. And then at the end of this day off, we will feel that we really did something to recover our energy and mind, and be again ready for heavy service. But if we just, day off, just little here, little there, little prajalpa, little phone, this and that, and we realize, oh, it's already evening. I didn't even, do anything for the improvement of my, health or fitness or whatever. So this is important also. So time to time it's good to read these inspirations, and there are many places where Srila Prabhupada puts very strong purports which speak for the benefits of brahmacharis, to inspire them to stay brahmacharis. And it is also, if we don't have this stressing, not many people will remain brahmacharis. Even like that, just few will remain. Yeah? And it's similar like with book distribution. If you don't speak about it regularly, pushing it regularly, trying to inspire others regularly, and telling things like there is no other way how to please Srila Prabhupada than distribute books, and Srila Prabhupada was most pleased by book distribution, and the greatest tapasya is book distribution. It's most pleasing to Krishna. It's the best way to help others. It's the best way to please the Lord. It's our duty. It's our family business. Strong words like this has to be used, and then few people will be inspired to do it. Yeah. But if we don't speak about it at all, and sometimes maybe mention, and immediately we say, but there are so many other services you can do, then everybody will choose some other service because it's much easier. Yeah. So we need to stress this. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada was stressing it and telling it like that we need that stress. And this is with many other things which are difficult. We need some extra stressing, which is not just over stressing it, it's reality. But we always feel for others who are not able to do it, so then we always balance it, but it's not always necessary to balance it. Maybe some of those who are not able to do it, maybe will feel a little pain, this is so strong, this is so heavy lecture, or these are so heavy words, I cannot follow, this is too much. But some will be inspired, and they will do the work, and for them this is meant, so they can hear it. And one more last point, and even for a brahmachari who will finally get married, it's good to know all these things, so he enters Grihastha ashrama without, false imaginations, how beautiful and sweet it will be. He goes there with, okay, I know this is the reality, but I have to go through it, but I have to be careful, and I have to go through it to get this realization that it's actually not needed, and I want to serve Krishna fully, so he can, a little later, 20, 30, 40 years later, he can again fully focus on on living in celibacy and fully serving the mission. Hare Krishna. Something else? Sure.
Thank you. I thought it was very interesting what you said, that when Prabhupada sometimes makes, you could say, this very one-sided or not so balanced statements. And maybe the devotees are thinking, couldn't Prabhupada add that people will misinterpret it? But it was very nice, as you said, that sometimes it's needed, this one-sided just push to kind of get us to inspire us, that it's the only service or something like that. It doesn't mean that it actually is like that, but it inspires. Thank you so much for giving me that perspective.
What did you do?
Yeah. I think we can see also from the history of ISKCON that this kind of stress also puts some devotees who are not ready for it, who don't have the realization or the depth of Krishna consciousness, go into it because it gives pain, it gives, I can feel very good about myself if I do this. But then you go into it and many become burnt out in the end and think that, Krishna consciousness doesn't work. I tried it, I did it.
So, according to my understanding, it is not that it is then always stressed as it sometimes was, and there was nothing else said. Srila Prabhupada was stressing it in some occasions without giving the other side. But if we see it a little more broadly, he also spoke about other things and also inspired other devotees in other services. And he often said, yes, Gurukulas, this is our most important service. Preaching to the scientists, this is our most important activity. Book distribution, this is our most important activity. So if we analyze, we probably will find out that stressing book distribution is much more than anything else, because this is like the essence of the mission. And to give an inspirational talk for devotees about book distribution and to inspire others, we need to be sometimes a little one-sided. But it shouldn't be that when we meet with devotees, after lecture or in the evening lecture, we are always stressing just these points, that you never hear anything else than that you are either Sankirtan devotee or you are in Maya. Then this is not proper, and Srila Prabhupada didn't do it. But if we specifically speak on certain topic, then it is justified to speak like this. But if we take it, over too much far, and then we deal with devotees, according to that, you are not good book distributor, you are spaced out, you should do it, otherwise you are completely useless, and they hear it on every lecture and nothing else, then it is of course not good. So it depends what is the topic, what is the public, and what we want to stress on the specific lecture. But of course the balance is given in long time. Then there will be another lecture, and then we deal with those people personally, and we can tell them actually, yes, this is like that, but in your case you can adjust, it's not your nature, you can help them, you can fix their car so they can go easily, they don't have to spend the time with that, or you can clean the car for the devotees, or you can cook here in the temple, because this is all needed. We sometimes also this comes there, it's also needed to some extent, but also it's very dangerous, this elite mentality of those who distribute books. that we are better than others. So Sankirtan devotees, of course, all others should very much value them that they are doing that service, but they should be led by their leader to remain very humble and appreciate all other services, because it's not that easy. I remember when I was in Salem in South India, living for some time, there was a devotee who was only book distribution like that, and then the temple president put him into the kitchen. You know, you think book distribution, you are doing the greatest tapasya. You know what these cooks are doing actually, what kind of a service it is. So he put him into the kitchen for a few months, and he realized this is much more heavy actually. I mean, it was physically and mentally intense, and he realized, okay, maybe some more respect to other services is needed. So this has to be balanced by the senior devotees, so this is properly understood. And but it shouldn't be taken too much to other side, that this service is not given proper importance, and then practically nobody wants to do it. And if he wants to do it, we will tell him, oh, I was also like you, you know. After a few months you will realize it's difficult and you will stop, you know. Anyway, everybody thought that he will be a Sankirtan devotee for the whole life. And so then this is not also not very good. So yeah, this balance has to be there, and we can see in Srila Prabhupada's broader approach that he engaged everyone in many different services. You know. By that Mataji was picking those flowers in Mayapur, and he was so happy, and he said, by every flower she picks, she's going closer to Krishna. So it's like that.
Fortunately, we mature as a society also.
Fortunately.
Fortunately,
Yeah, yeah.
we mature as a society also.
Yeah, also. Yeah.
That kind of treating only this.
Yeah, it's not that fanatical in this sense, but we can. And there were times where book distribution was very low. I think now in the world it's quite good. You know, it's again devotees are inspired, but in more mature way. Yeah, and we are also doing the book distribution in more mature way. We don't pretend to, as I told also the other day, we don't pretend to collect for children in Africa or you know, like that. Just do it. You know, these are nice books about interesting philosophy. You can donate something, so we can print more books just directly as it is. And in many places devotees are more going in devotional clothes, which is also very nice. It's not necessary. If we can distribute more in karmic clothes, we can use karmic clothes, but my experience is that it's not that, in most of the countries it's not that big difference. So if there is no difference, then better to use devotional clothes. We are more protected. You know, people know that we are monks. We are more visible in the society, so people have more. We are coming in more into the subconsciousness of people that Hare Krishnas are there with us. And even if devotees who are not preaching, if they wear devotional clothes outside, so it also creates an atmosphere that people feel, oh, there are Hare Krishnas amongst us here. Just few of us is enough, and they already like have this feeling. Okay, they are part of our society. Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Maybe I'm repeating something because I didn't come in the beginning. My apologies. Because you're saying we have to sometimes stress this extra and it's not right. And I wanted to say that I think we can always stress that this is a Sankirtan movement, that our service is to be on Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement. And every other service is in support of the Sankirtan. And in this way we will feel connected, we will not feel disconnected. And even those who are washing the pots, they will feel inspired because they are supporting the Sankirtan mission. And if some rare souls have not the rare souls, everyone should go on Sankirtan sometimes, but maybe not everyone can be a full-time Sankirtan devotee. Because I think sometimes if we stress that this is good and this is not so good, we create a divide. But this is good because it supports the Sankirtan. But if we have no Sankirtan, then we're not supporting so much. So therefore, even if we cannot do Sankirtan, we should still be aware that our service will be more pleasing to Lord Chaitanya if we are able in our service to support the Sankirtan. But in order to do that, it has to be Sankirtan. So it's still the most important, but it does not have to create a divide.
Yeah, you are right. This is very nicely said. fully agree, of course. But,
And
yeah.
I think as a leader, I mean, as a preacher, it's important to always stress, but as a leader, you have to take into account each person's ability, because I think, like, I think Kalini Priya was saying almost the same thing, that when we have an immature stress, then it becomes a material thing, and some people will become proud, and some people will have a lower self-consciousness, and some people will push themselves over their material limits, and they will burn out. You cannot burn out in Krishna's service, you can only burn out when there is a material component to it, that you go over your... So maturity is good, but if we forget to stress the Sankirtan, we all...
Without this, everything will be... Thank you. Yeah. Without this, everything will be lost. This is the basis of our society. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think also what Kalindi said, that sometimes one devotee may go to Sankirtan for fame, but I think that maybe every devotee does that in the beginning. There's no one who starts who's pure. And
no, I don't think that everybody is doing that.
But like most people, of course, in the beginning you have some desires for anything.
I think to start to do Sankirtan for the fame, I mean, there are better places, better ways how to be famous than through such a difficult activity. You know, maybe when you are a little good, you know, then it comes usually. This is my experience. That usually you go to Sankirtan, you have to little force yourself from inside. It's not naturally attractive, you know. It's little. There is the challenge. There is a challenge always. You have to go over your first ego, you know, speak with those people. And for many devotees, it is my experience. For most of the devotees, it is a great challenge to go out to distribute books. And they need inspiration. They need to read about it. They need some guidance, you know, like that. And then they go and they try it, overcome it, and they do it for Krishna. I'm sure they do it for Krishna, or maybe there is some social pressure also, but they are in that social pressure also for Krishna, so there is some desire to please the Lord. But when you become good in it and some results appear, then this, you know, it's there in our heart, this desire for fame and glory and, you know, all these things, or maybe money. We have had in Czech a devotee who was distributing a lot of books, and he was very good, but then devotees realized, it was just before I joined, realized that he is getting so much money that he is putting aside as a brahmachari. And he was, I mean, when he was living in ashram, he had quite a lot of money, you know, with him. So he was, and then he continued to do the same thing, and then he did the same as, you know, sometime with the books. Then he started with paintings, and he is till now he is distributing these paintings because this is his nature, and he learned how to earn money like that, you know. So this can come from your heart, and also we have this. Prabhupada also wanted us to have this transcendental competition. Yeah? So he have results, and you know, we are the first, second, third. So competition is there, but also there it brings also some, something from our heart that, oh, he defeated me, oh, yeah, how horrible, you know, I don't wish him good, you know. Then we should, of course, approach it and deal with that, so we can serve the devotee and be happy that he did more than us, so we can be also inspired to do more. So, but also Srila Prabhupada sometimes said, when one group of devotees distributed their many books, he said, oh, Tamal Krishna will get a heart attack, you know, if he hears it. There was very strong atmosphere of competition, but Srila Prabhupada used it for the spreading of the Krishna consciousness movement. For this is good, but it shouldn't go too far that we then, you know, just destroy the tire of the other devotee's car or something like that, so he cannot distribute. So so we are, when we start with book distribution, we are usually quite new devotees, and we do it because we want to please Prabhupada. This is, I think, most of the devotees start to do it like this. But when we become a little successful, then some impurities in our heart can, you know, also grow with the plant of bhakti lata. So then we have to take care, you know. It's not the problem with the Sankirtan. Just we need to take the weeds out and continue with the Sankirtan with the proper motivation. And we will be tested anyway. There will be days when we will be tested. So then we can see that, okay, I continued even it was so difficult and I'm not anymore first, I'm second, third or 10th, and there are many more devotees, but I still continue with the service, then okay, there probably is some good motivation there with which we do it. But what was the question?
And I was thinking of this verse, Akama Sarva Kama Vamoksha Kama Bharati, that even if you have no desire for any material, or if you have desires, material desires, still you take to, or if you have desire for liberation, you take to devotional service. Should we wait until we are, if you have desire for fame, should we stop going out on Sankirtan?
Of course not. Sankirtan purifies.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Sankirtan purifies,
Yeah.
But we should also work on doing it right.
Yes.
It's not just that we do it and just forget everything else, and we don't read, we don't chant, we just distribute books to be number one. Of course, and because when we see in perspective that our desire for fame is there, we shouldn't stop doing book distribution and just become, just do only toilets and nothing else because we are so humble Vaishnavas. But we could do hundreds of books, So yes, let us do hundreds of books. Let us be number one. But deal with the pride, during the process, and this will purify you. You can take some challenges, there in the street. You can stay a little longer, or you can approach, maybe some other kind of people, or you can try to do offices or something, that you will depend more on Krishna and more on your abilities, like that. So there are many ways, and all the devotees can give always guidance and advices, but we shouldn't stop that. We can be also proud how nicely we chant, but then we should really stop chanting.
Can I have another thought on this?
Yes.
Because this Akama Sarakama, there is a difference between being a pure devotee and not being a pure devotee, obviously. But having desires, because we have not yet been purified and we continue with our service, or having desires and we do our service in order to fulfill those desires, there is a divide between
there's great
that.
difference.
And if one can be a little bit aware that, okay, I'm not pure, I'm doing my service, and this desire is something else, or if we think, by doing this service, now I will gain some material fulfillment, then it becomes more difficult. But when it's a little introspective, I think it's usually possible to divide that.
To discriminate it, yeah.
And if you just have the desires, but your service is not for the desires, they will certainly be purified. But if you think you're going to be famous or rich yourself by your service, then you probably have to put in more conscious effort to separate.
Yeah. According to my knowledge, it's this even if we have material desires, but we don't follow the process for fulfillment of these desires, this is also pure devotional service, is in the same category. It's not that we are pure devotees, but we are following the process of pure devotional service. So there is Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttama, and Kanishta can be in the category of pure devotional service. So he has material desires, but he does not do devotional service to fulfill those material desires. He does devotional service to get rid of those material desires, but he has them. But he is purely motivated on the path and doing the proper process, so this is pure devotional service. And there can be Kanishta, who is actually wrongly motivated and is doing the spiritual activity, the devotional service, to fulfill his material desire, maybe to become a temple president, or become a leader, or become a whatever, or something, become rich, whatever it can be. So of course that's completely different. Yeah. But we can also see, it's interesting, that Dharma Maharaj, he had wrong motivation. But what is the point? He was following, during the time he was following, that he didn't apply that motivation into his practice. It just was put aside. He was practicing with that motivation, but he was following very strictly, exactly as his guru told him, and he got purified also. So that also means that akama sarva kamava, if he followed properly, tivrena bhakti, because he was doing the tivrena bhakti, the intense devotional service. There was not like, we sometimes have good motivation, but we don't follow Tivra Bhakti. Sometimes we just you know, are weak and we just don't follow something, you know, or we fall down from some part of our sadhana. So that's also important to consider. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai.